Oh, yeah. I haven't even listened to that. Never. Yep.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was quite.
With the kids. I usually avoid Walmart with
Well,
them.
I'm sorry, I meant the church. the church.
Oh, yes.
Was that
Yeah.
yesterday?
Yes, my dad had his. He loaded his trailer. and trucks, like, stopped over. Yeah, they think they said it was just 14 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. the lady, in Oregon State was at 40 hours, they lost my neighbor. Yeah. they passed out. Anyway, yeah, let's try to fill that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, thanks for the help.
Yeah, you're welcome. I yeah, they do this all the time. It's like, 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 get there, like,
Where's that?
5 times. So. Maybe I should have a good time. I have that work on Saturdays. I just put the door on.
You look like a good crew. I know
Yeah.
all kinds of people in that. Rainy and his one.
Yeah, yeah, they had a.
I'm back in. So, yeah, good crew. No football. I said, that's what he even retired. What's that?
Help with that stuff.
Yeah.
Food bank, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, until last weekend.
A lot of people have volunteered for. Yeah.
Lost there, which is great.
Ceiling like the range.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah. We're not done, we got another month, so.
I'd like to call to order the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for November 26th, 2024. Please have roll call.
Mayor Dean Vonderheide,
Present.
Board Member Tim Bell,
President.
Board Member Nancy Eckerly,
Here.
Assistant Police Chief Aaron Pearson,
Present.
Street Commissioner Jeff Tyson,
Here.
City Engineer Chad Herm,
Here.
Personnel Safety Loss Control Director Cale Panise,
Here.
Fire Chief Code Enforcement Officer Kenny Hoaxing,
Right.
Director of Community Development and Planning Josh Gutzelman.
Here.
Park and Recreation Director Tom Mormon.
Here.
City Attorney Renee Cabrick here. Clerk Treasurer Kirsten Kenise here. In order to have a quorum, a majority of the board members must be present. All board members are present, which is majority, therefore there is a quorum for this meeting.
Would all agree, please stand and join the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, minutes, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of November 12th?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented.
I have a motion from Nancy to approve. Second. Second from Tim. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Go down to the Heart of Jasper, Kate Schwank.
Good morning. Kate Schwank, the Heart of Jasper. All right, so first I just wanted to share just some accomplishments we've had from 2024.
What's that, Mike?
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Better? Okay. All right, so yeah, first off, just wanted to share some things that we've accomplished in 2024, but really want to take time to thank the city and especially the Board of Public Works for the financial support that we've been receiving each year. And so just wanted to share with you some of those things that we've been able to accomplish with the city's support and then many others who financially support us as well. So I gave you an annual reports. I know there's a month left to go in the year, but we wanted to get the annual report drafted. So fairly close to being set for the whole year. So if you look at the reinvestment stats, I'll start there. Obviously with the facade money that we receive from the city, this was our 4th round for the facade program. And so this year we really put an emphasis on new signage for businesses downtown, encouraging them to do perpendicular signage or at least upgrading their signs with better lighting or, a larger size sign. So we helped, with that. So 10 new signs were installed and then 4 facade improvements, on the buildings, were completed this year. So $98,000 in private investments, is what they put toward that. That number's lower in the past because the signs aren't expensive as, what facade projects, typically run. So, we had 7 businesses that opened, within the heart of Jasper, filling a vacant space. And then 5 businesses relocated to the downtown in this year. So,
Kate, on the part where there was private investment, what was the public investment in that? Like, what did Heart of Jasper contribute toward those?
about 40,000. So we had some money left over this year, which would roll over into the facade program for next year. So with the, course, the next part of this would be asking for approval of the contract. So our plan for the 2025 facade program, if we have the money there, we would keep the emphasis on commercial properties. That would be a top priority when applications come in, and then open up for residential properties too. So owner occupied homes within the heart of Jasper could apply. And then the third priority would be if they're rental properties, they could apply for facade dollars. And so we would have guidelines there that they would follow, just like the commercial properties would. And then signage would still be included in that. So
Do you distinguish at all between retail and professional?
no, not for the facade, like the new business incentive we did, but not for the facade program.
Where's your neighborhood? Where's the Heart of Jasper's neighborhood at, so to speak, or where your boundaries?
Yeah, the district, so the River Center over to the Cultural Center. It's not a perfect rectangle. It really cuts out a lot of residential. There's not, so then it goes up Main Street all the way to Snaps. And includes the church. And then it comes down Newton, includes the historic district. So it's not a great rectangle, but it's all the way from the river to St. Joseph Church. What was your question? Oh, no, and mostly because the building owners apply, so we aren't necessarily looking at what's in those buildings, when the building owners apply for the facade dollars. So under the economic vitality, that committee with the focus on filling the vacant buildings, it mentions the facade program there again. We had 2 businesses receive the new business incentive this year, for a total of $23,000. So, that program, the Genesis 12 donor, has given over $340,000 in the last 4 years to local businesses within the heart of Jasper. This program is wrapping up this year with the donor support. So internally as Heart of Jasper, we're looking at, do we want to include it in our budget to keep the program going? We're talking about modifying it to more of a business pitch program versus a new business incentive. And so we'll share more on that, but we'll do a press release about the program, just thanking the donor for the amount of money they've contributed through Heart of Jasper, but to the local businesses downtown. The bottom, you can see our events. They are really focusing, and it's on the back page too, really focusing on downtown activation, especially with the square being done and the gathering spaces being completed. So you can see the different events that we have. Some are monthly, some are seasonal every week, like the Music on Main is every week on Saturdays. We have live music downtown. The monthly events are the Shop and Sip, the Movies on Main, the Chow Down, which is at the Riverwalk. So really trying to keep consistent events going on the square just to drive foot traffic to those gathering spaces. This year we merged with RoadJack. We added 2 board members to our board who were on the RoadJack board as well. We added 5 new committee members and over 725 volunteer hours. That's volunteers attending meetings or helping with different events. So we try to track all of our volunteer hours from our different volunteers. Our goal when the square project started was to activate the alley. So we finished the second Astor Alley this year with the painted sidewalk and the holly balls. The last one is the one next to Sturms, which we won't do anything with that alley since it's historic. We did partner with Jasper Park and Rec for the Love Your Community Cleanup Day. So with the square and all the flowers and flower pots, it's a lot more flowers than what we've had in the past, a lot. We work with Park and Rec on that, and Green Thumb is kind of our go-to landscaper there to help us with with that, but what Heart of Jasper can do is, really help with the labor. So Park and Rec purchases the flowers, but we try to get volunteers. So we had about 10 volunteers from Kimball Electronics and 5 from GAB, and then some other Heart of Jasper volunteers helping Park and Rec, and then Natalie and Nicole from Green Thumb as well. So all that was able, for the cleanup day, that's cutting back all the perennials, tearing out all the annuals, weeding all the flower pots, and then putting the lights on the Christmas trees, and all that was done in about 2 hours with all those hands. Green Thumb said they would pay 6 full-time employees at least an 8-hour day at $50 an hour. So just from the amount of money that saves by having other members volunteer for days like that. So we do that in the fall, and then we also do that in the spring when we plant the flowers, spread the mulch, and do all that stuff. So we also joined the Jasper Optimist Avenue of Flags program. We partnered that with the merchants. So the Avenue of Flags went up 6 times this year, all the way from Central Green, Cabby, Chamber, and around the square. So that was a fun program that will continue. And then our future planning, we have our work plans drafted. So if you're interested in seeing those, I'd be happy to email them out. But we have our work plans drafted for 2025. One of the projects we're looking at is perimeter lighting on the downtown buildings, so they all match. Right now, some buildings have them, some don't, but that'd be one of our larger projects we're looking at. But you know, again, if you're interested in seeing the work plans, be happy to email those out to this group. So you can look at the rest of the annual report there and see some other information, but just wanted to share some of the things we've been able to do, especially with the support that we receive from the city. So happy to answer any questions about that. If not, I also ask that I think the approval's been drafted for the contract for Heart of Jasper for the facade program and the operating funds, and so asking for approval of that contract today.
So that's called our Property Redevelopment Initiatives Agreement between the City of Jasper and the Heart of Jasper. On an annual basis, that is a $60,000 contract with $10,000 going toward the services that Kate just discussed and $50,000 going toward the facade improvement program. It is subject to the budget approval process, and if approved, it would be effective January 1st, 2025.
We don't have that in front of us. I've not seen that in the contract. You know, that's something that we're supposed to have reviewed ahead of time.
I just saw it on the agenda under Kate, so I looked up the details of it myself.
Contracted.
Yeah, I
Get it the next meeting.
It'd be nice to review and check.
I'm sorry, I just went through the agenda last night and saw it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate.
Thanks, good.
Jasper continues to make a difference in the downtown activation in conjunction with, I think, collaboration with the chamber and other organizations. We're seeing a difference, so appreciate that. Next is Assistant Chief Pearson.
Couple things this morning. First being the taser contract. See if we're ready to enter into that contract. I know we presented a meeting or two ago and we were trying to review the contract and make sure everything was up to speed on that.
So the police department received a quote from Axon, AXO Enterprises Inc. for tasers. The agreement is a 5-year contract beginning in January 2025. Actually, written hand notes, and I wasn't sure about this. It says invoice starts January 25, but contract starts February. So I don't know if you had, well, we'll have to discuss the detail of exactly how that will how that will be indicated in the agreement. At any rate, the contract is for the first year for $16,047.60, which includes 6 trade-ins. After that, the annual amount is $17,547.60. That's years 2 through 5. It is subject to a 3% annual increase. And there is also a provision or a term in the agreement in their terms and conditions that acknowledges that this is subject to budget approval on an annual basis. So there isn't, it's more of a purchase order. The contract, so to speak, is their standard terms and conditions, which is online, and I did review those. And found them. I had a couple of questions, but I told Aaron that we could go through those with the company once we get approval.
I think one of the questions I think I had, but you think about a new model, do we get, since this is like a five,
Right.
do we get an upgrade? You know,
No, we reached out and we keep the same
keep the
technology
same thing.
for
so
the 5
you're-
years.
you're guaranteed, okay.
That was your question about agreeing.
Yeah.
Minutes. It says the cost for the first year is $16,047.60. And then after each year, the cost would be $17,547.60. You may have said that, Renee. Is that the 5% increase or 2%? Or
3% is possible. But that number does not include that increase.
The first year's cheaper because of the trade-ins that we're trading.
Yeah. So then the 17,500 something, it could be that plus 1% increase.
Up to 3%. So I guess why do we enter into a contract for 5 years if the price is changing?
Well, I don't think you can, these prices are based on 5 years of having that equipment. It's kind of, I mean, I hate to. It's kind of like a 5-year payment plan, you know, I mean, we over 5 years, we are using that equipment. We are receiving support and storage and cloud storage and software updates. Training on an annual basis. So.
Replacement cost, if something breaks, they'll send. new
And then
ones.
what happens after 5 years? We start this all over again?
Yeah,
New equipment,
yes.
so.
So we really need to figure in almost for budgeting the 3%.
I mean, they don't say that it's definitely 3%, but it
But
could be up to 3%. We can do that. And I did want to discuss that that was one of the items. I mean, 3% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're talking about 3% every year for 5 years, that's 15%, which is a pretty big jump. So I wondered if we might be able to get that to reduce that 3% to 2%.
Because it's signing a 5-year contract.
so we're locked in 5 years, even though it's negotiable. How do you lock in a 5-year contract? But then you said
I don't think after we sign the contract, it won't be negotiable. If we
it's
sign,
subject to approval, right? You said.
well,
subject to
right,
approval.
right. So everything we have. Because they acknowledge, I mean, they work with law enforcement agencies across the nation, I think worldwide actually. And those agencies are very often very budget conscious
Sure.
and depending on what gets approved or doesn't. So many agencies would not agree to a 5-year commitment if they couldn't come back and say, we didn't get approved this year.
Well, the police department's perspective, you just have to put this in your budget every year.
Right. Right. Now, if we're not to get approved, we wouldn't be able to keep the equipment. You know, so if next year you don't have the money, the tasers would go back.
And do we have an exit clause that they price charge us for the remaining? If there's no exit clause, then we would be,
There is.
there is an exit. clause.
So that in the agreement, there is a term that acknowledges that this agreement would not move forward if it did not get approved. The budget did not get approved.
Okay, that's kind of what I work. Okay.
So the three, up to 3% could be up to $520 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Random basis. This Renee indicated it could be compounded based on the accumulations over time.
Where's the figure of 17,547.60 come from for the second year? Is that part of the contract?
So, I believe the way it's on their order, order form. I think they have a total amount from which they deducted our trade-in on the first year.
Okay, so
They took their total and divided it by 5 years and then deducted our.
Pretty common with, it's the same with our body worn cameras and stuff. It's, everything's going to that 5-year contract so that agencies can afford to.
which
Purchase
is
this stuff.
fine. The only thing I agree with Tim is then the technology changes and then in 5 years, kind of, well, it's time to start over, then you would sign a new contract and have more updated equipment.
Yeah, and our current tasers, when we buy these 2017-ish, 2018-ish, so these have lasted us, you know, going on 6, 7, 8 years with these things. So,
And it's a sole source provider.
yes, yes, ma'am.
The only other thing I would say, one of the questions, or points I wanted to be clear about is that there is a provision in the terms and conditions for automatic renewal at the end of 5
Okay.
for another 5. So I would want to have a conversation about where the equipment is
Okay.
and if it's time to
Update.
get new in.
I think that if it's, again, our exit clause is on the approval for the annual budget. If new technology would come in place and tasers would be obsolete all of a sudden in 2.5 years, that would be our. You always have to be looking at that, so. I make a motion that, move forward with the contract for tasers. Axon for a period of 5 years. I'm not gonna go through the details of the payments. As presented.
I'll second that motion.
That motion, I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, simply saying aye.
Aye.
The next item would be our towing contracts or our towing bids. Seeking permission to go ahead and work with Renee in the legal office to send out the paperwork for our towing contracts. Basically, the towing contracts, they're 2-year contracts, and anytime there's a police action tow, we'll call one of these people on the contract and they will come tow the vehicles for us, that kind of thing. In the past, it's been Leaguers, Ruxers, Sternbergs, and U-Valors. They all have secure facilities where they can impound the vehicles and make sure nothing happens to them when we tow them. And it's in the contract to where as long as we go through that rotation and keep going by our list, and we use them, and then at the end of the year, each place will pay us $10 per tow. So coming up here, I'm gonna go through the numbers for this year and then submit the invoices to the different record companies to follow.
But that's only if the person involved in the accident doesn't have a preference.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with crashes. It's just police action tows and traffic stops, or we're towing a car or impounding a vehicle. Yeah, if it's a crash, people are welcome. We'll call whoever they want. It's just when we are out on a criminal investigation, we take possession of a car, then we go by this list. of people that submitted the towing contracts.
How do you keep track of which one called last?
Dispatch just has an Excel form and they have it mapped out. And then when we call somebody, they fill out the line saying, hey, this is the date we called them. And then next time we need one, they pull up the form and the next one's blank, so we know which one to call. It's worked really well for us. But like I said, it's a 2-year contract that's ending first of the year, so we need to get to work on getting these things out, getting the bids back to us so we can.
So you're asking for permission to advertise and see quotes?
Yes, yes, sir.
Please to see quotes for their total contract. 2-year towing contract, starting in 2025.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion from Tim and a second from Nancy. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
The next final item I have, we came up with a list of the 5 challenges the police department's seeing right now. I just want to give a quick presentation to the board on the challenges we're facing. The first one is resource limitations. We've been operating short here. We're 6 guys down, and it trickles down to us going to calls, being available for calls, responding to calls. Sometimes guys are, several guys will be at a crash scene trying to clean up a crash, and bin check or a dog barking, something like that would come in. We had to pen those calls to make sure we take care of the more priority calls. So being so many guys down obviously has a trickle down effect and affects us day to day. Detectives, the school resource guys have been stepping up and stepping out of the schools and stepping out of their offices to go take these small calls so that the road guys can focus on the more important calls. Filling shifts.
Wait, I
Guys,
go back to
training.
that school resource officer. How does the school feel about that? I mean, they're supposed to be dedicated to the school during those hours. I don't think the school would probably be too happy that they're leaving and go take a dog call, for example.
So far, they've been supportive of it. It's small calls, go and take care of a dog call for 10-15 minutes or a bin check that takes 10 or 15 minutes. And a lot of times the SROs are already in town doing business for the school or doing home checks, going to check on students that are missing from school. So if something comes out at the time, it's just all in where they are at that time. It's not like they're sitting in the school, the dispatch is hitting them up to go take a call, so to speak. It's the guys are out and about, they hear something come in, they're close to it, they'll go ahead and go take care of it as they're out and about in that area, and then they'll go back to the school or finish up their home check or what have you. Now, we don't have them taking calls from the school, so to speak. But if they're out and about, they're jumping on board to go take care of stuff. And our calls continue going up. Calls for service, 2022, we were at 15,800. 2023, we went up about 500 calls to 19,001. And then we're projecting this year to be around 20,400. We're in our 3rd hiring process this year. First 2 hiring processes, we didn't have any luck with anybody meeting our high standards. So we stopped the processes there and started a new process over. We have Board of Works interviews this afternoon. We have 3 really good candidates. And we've taken a lot of time to look at our hiring process and used to take
We have
9
3
to 10.
candidates this afternoon, but you're saying we have 6 excellent candidates right now.
We have 6, candidate, yes, we have 3 laterals that we're working with, 3 lateral candidates. One is from a process last year, 2023. And then one of them is from process currently. And then 2 of them are in the process currently, actually. And then we have 4 interviews set up, 3 today, and then 1 next week. So we have 4 Board of Works interviews, and potentially hiring for 6 spots, depending on the
Do
chief
those 6
spot.
spots include Layman and that other guy, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
So they will fill into these 6 spots.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Well, at least with those, I mean, you're gonna get back to normal during the year, this year at some point.
and then one additional officer that the council approved for next year. We're trying to get that, go ahead and fill that. Used to take us 9-10 months to go through a process to get somebody hired. This process, we're pretty well doing everything in November. We've done all the testing, we've done all that stuff, and from the end of October, when we did our physical agility testing to getting to the point today of having Board of Works interviews, we're moving forward quickly. So just trying to improve our processes and that kind of stuff to help ourselves out here. The next area, the next concern is drug abuse and addiction. Obviously, Jasper's like any other town in the country here. We have, the drugs are here, the drugs are gonna stay here, and we're working hard to battle them. Obviously, addiction resources are limited. Guys, we're expected to take care of these issues without these specialized resources, such and so forth. We're investing in training, we're getting guys out there, and once we get back to full staff, we're really wanting to get our drug detective, get a guy back into the drug detective role. With these numbers, when I took the numbers and I had figured up our entire arrest numbers for 2023 and 2024, we came out with we had 959 arrests over those 2 years. 181 of those arrests were all drug related. So doing the math here, 19% of our arrests the last 2 years have been for drugs. Just, it's here, we're battling it, and just last week, 2 weeks ago, Officer Jones, working with the sheriff's department and state police, they arrested a guy with 72 grams of methamphetamine out. That came from a tip in the Walmart parking lot. It's here. We're working with the Advocacy and Recovery Prevention Council. We're working with Safe Haven Recovery. We're out in communities talking about the issues. We're doing the DARE classes. We're educating and making sure people realize that drugs are a problem in this community, and we're trying to do the battles here. The next thing is mental health. Obviously, that's been around for a while. It's not going anywhere. Obviously, we struggle dealing with the mental health because of the resources, the shortages. We work well with Life Springs. They're doing all kinds of good. They're doing good things out there that help us out. Memorial, constantly working with Memorial, and Life Springs recently did a mobile crisis team that we used a couple times, to where we get to somebody and they don't qualify or they don't screen in for us to take them to Memorial. We'll call Life Springs and they'll put a quick response team together, and they'll get with us within an hour. They'll bring all the resources to us as far as sitting down with this person and going over some options and seeing how they can help get this person taken in for the night, or just helping us with the direction to take them, basically where to go with them. So a lot of good ideas out there. We're working hard, collaborating with all these different places, trying to figure out the best move forward. Everybody's struggling.
On the officers then, on their mental health, you have a mandatory professional debriefing for all officers following an incident,
We do have debriefings, and
a professional debrief with a
yeah, we have,
professional mental person.
well, we have 2 officers that are trained with Memorial. And after a serious tragic incident, I don't remember the name of what it is, but basically the officers that get activated through Memorial, and then they'll come in, and it goes for the fire department as well. We both use the same resource. People from Memorial come in with our individually trained officer and firemen. They'll sit down and they'll have a group discussion on what happened, the events, and how we can help, or how those guys can help the guys that responded.
Did you have that recently when that lady died out on 231?
No, we did not have it for that. Nobody came to us and said, hey, I'm really struggling with this. I think the last time we used it is when the little kid drowned in Bergman. that's a,
It's just my concern. I don't think they're always gonna come to you. I think it should just be mandatory after incidents like that. It's just my opinion.
and we're working with Kale. And HR for next year, trying to. See what we can do to get a mental health professional to come into the police department, at least once a year, if not twice a year, sit down with everybody. And just let guys have the opportunity to empty their mind and if they want to say nothing, they don't have to say anything. If they want to follow up. Schedule an appointment later, they're more than welcome to do so, but I think it's important to bring somebody in, sit down individually and let these guys vent to a professional and then. Nobody knows what's said, they can follow up if they need to.
So we've been talking for some time about doing this, where it's not even it's not a voluntary thing, it's more mandatory that it's scheduled to come in. And everyone needs benefits. We all need consultation at times. So at least that way they get over the stigma of, well, I don't need to seek it. You know, it's coming to me now. I have the opportunity to talk about my issues.
You hit the nail on the head, everybody's dealing with something, you just never know. The baggage, this stuff people are bringing along with them, and it's hard to navigate, obviously. Continued struggle. The next item, community trust. We're doing everything we can, or at least we feel we're doing everything we can to try and serve this community in the best way possible. Obviously in a small town. Officers know people, which creates trust, but then also tension, political world. We tell our guys, be professional, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. Just showing the level of professionalism that we have, working with the community. We want, and the biggest thing with us, community members, everybody's just communication, trust. And if we don't, people have to rely to trust us. People have the trust to call us and confide in us that there's an issue out there. And they need to, everyone needs to understand that please call us because we don't know something's going on. We don't know what's going on unless we're informed. So if you're seeing a reckless driver going down the road, doing something, please call us, let us know so that we can look into it, use our resources to figure out who the people are.
Can we comment on this? They would call 911 dispatch right away so that we can respond.
Yes, yeah, please call 911 if you see something. We don't know anything about it unless you take that step to call us and inform us. Please just let us know.
Aaron, in this area, and I brought this up a lot of times, the road checks. I encourage you to have the officers do that also during the day. You talk about building up trust. What better way than to walk in a business and have the officer greet the person who's working there instead of just sticking a tag on their door. I get the thing at night. It's important that they check the doors and make sure that they're locked and everything. But to me, that would be so much of a more of a trust and a community building. Greet whatever business it is. During the day and let them know here's who I am, here's my card. If you need anything, call 911 or call that officer directly or whatever it might be. So I brought that up a lot of times about doing it during the day, not just doing it during the wee hours of the night.
And that's a goal of ours too. Going back to number one, the staffing. Being short, guys are bouncing from call to call. We're trying to get guys out. Once we get staffed, we can make these changes. And we're encouraging guys to be out and be seen. That's my biggest thing. Be out and be seen. Do what you need to do. Go meet with community members. And guys want to be out. They're gonna be out. And some changes are coming with that. So be patient with me on that. The guys aren't gonna be out and about. Just it's coming. There's changes. And business checks, extra patrols. We logged over 8,000 calls of just doing extra patrols, checking busy areas, that kind of thing in the last 2 years. So guys are being proactive, but said just with manpower shortages, it's hard for somebody to get out and about when they're not from call to call. the last item, domestic violence, family violence, silent cybercrime, everything's online. All these crimes are online, or like the 3 detectives I have are overloaded with cases. We just had one this week of a child view or a subject with over 200 images of child videos on his phone. Obviously, we're a part of the Indiana Crimes Against Children, and we're the only ones in the county that are a part of this. The suspect in that case lived in Huntingburg, and we got the tip. Since we're affiliated with the ICAP, we took the tip, we investigated the crime, we worked with Huntingburg Sheriff's Office to go execute search warrants in Huntingburg and take this guy into custody. Those tips are coming in daily, and those tips are things that have happened in the past. So obviously, a crime that's happening now, a burglary, stuff like that, guys are trying to hammer out the detectives. And oftentimes these calls get handed because of more important calls. We have the workload. The guys are working their tails off. And I guess what a lot of people do not realize is the amount of time it takes to do these investigations. You know, one of these crimes comes in, one of these tips for children, we have to get search warrants for phones, work with the courts to get all those warrants, get search warrants, go search the house, take the suspect into custody, follow up, interview everybody. There's hours and hours and hours of work there that all 3 detectives are taking their time to work on that single case. Everything's online, and a lot of places getting search warrants through these, name any names, but the different social media platforms and stuff like that, they're not cooperative. So everything requires search warrants and takes a lot of time. Domestic violence, getting the resources out to people and educating people on the indicators and trying to be ahead of and giving people ways to de-escalate situations and educate them on, don't be a victim, don't be a victim. We're doing it, we're working hard, working with CPS. We're constantly going out with CPS with juveniles and evaluating homes and seeing living conditions and crisis connection, child advocacy center. Guys are constantly doing forensic interviews down the child advocacy center, and we have a lot of child crimes, child victim crimes, and that kind of stuff in this county because we're very good at investigating it. You don't hear a lot of it around us. I think the reason you keep hearing it here is because we're that good at having the resources and partnering with these different places that we take them serious and we go take care of it.
And again, if public has suspicion of some kind of crime against children, they should call.
Please call 911.
Again.
Yeah. Please let us know. We have a tip line. Hit up our tip line.
2, 3, and 5 go in. We working with the schools. Pretty cooperative, because you've got a lot of juvenile stuff here. Are they, I know the teachers are supposed to recognize stuff like this.
Yeah.
Are we working with schools?
Yeah, the SROs are every day they're working with CPS in the schools. Tips come in through the CPS hotline. And the SROs are dealing with those tips both in school, and they're leaving school to go to houses to follow up on with the parents and the conditions of the home, that kind of thing. Yeah, the school's very supportive, and a lot of our stuff starts in school, obviously. I guess at the end of the day, our biggest thing is cooperation. We're here, please help us help you. We need cooperation. Just please, if we ask for help or we throw something up Facebook and we're looking for somebody, and if you know, please let us know. Please let us know. We're nothing without our community, and we're here to serve.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Next on the agenda is Chief second.
Good morning. First item on the list is the fuel management report. Nothing out of the ordinary there, just an average month for what we do. Second item is code enforcement. The first item there is something that the street department's been working on, Bob Centerman, with the home on St. Charles for a driveway cut. And in the narrative there, it explains the process that they're working through to get that taken care of. And I think there's an agreement there to take care of that in spring.
Where is the narrative on that? I don't-
It's in the GoGov system.
Oh.
There's a narrative there, it's the follow-up to get this taken care of.
And what is this person doing? What's the
It
violation?
was a driveway cut for a home that was built.
There is technically. That's the issue. And. Chad or Ken, either one of you, or Jeff can fill in because you're much more familiar than I, but the person comes and gets a street cut permit. And we would like to see them complete that work within a certain period of time. And Bob has been working with the homeowner, trying to encourage him to get the job done.
Like for a driveway? Okay.
Yep, but he has not yet paved his driveway, so what's happening is the rock, the gravel and stuff is getting out into the street. Washing them down and, the reason I say it's not a violation, Chad and I looked into the language of, I guess the standards manual, and there's no clear deadline by which it actually has to be done. And so, we're just trying to work with him to encourage him. Now it's late in the season, so it's not likely that it's gonna, that he's gonna have his driveway completed any of this year. So it's gonna be a spring thing.
So they put rock down. Is there a cut or is there just a
Yeah.
curb?
You know, it's
It's
a
a
cut.
temporary term, curb is what it is. Yeah.
So what we've done is, we have a standard for a temporary, driveway entrance for construction. They've come in, they've broken or cut the back of the curb off as a temporary measure. The permanent fix will be to replace that curb and gutter when they redo their driveway. So theoretically, it's a temporary situation, but it's been going on for 9 months. I don't even know how I better. Yeah.
So
So-
the permit application gives them 90 days from the time that the application is approved to actually make the cut. But it doesn't say how long they have to complete the project.
And typically, if street department will keep an eye on it. If nothing happens for a period of time, we'll actually ask them to come in and reapply for their right of way permit. They've done the temporary work, they just haven't finished it. So
Thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, so with being in GoGov, then it'll send us reminders through email that needs to be taken care of eventually. So it's a follow-up for us. So the second one there is on West 8th Street. This has been going on for a couple of years. It continues to be trash accumulation. And we've cited them earlier this year. Then when we had to go back at another time, they received $100 fine. Still not abated, which has been well past the allowed time. Made several attempts to talk to these people, have been to their house many times. So the next process was I talked to Matt Kiefer about getting this cleaned up, what the estimate would be, and then Renee says like, we have to go through this process. So Renee, I'll let you follow up with what.
Sure, so
necessary steps.
in order for the city to ever take action, in order to clean up a property on our own, we have to notify anyone who has what is called a substantial interest in the property. We have to do a title search to make sure who has any interest, so that's underway. Once we get that information, then we send out notice that says, you know, on this, whatever day, we'll have to choose, select a date, and then, the street department will go in and clean it up, and we'll send a bill. And if that bill does not get paid, then it will become a lien on their property. But in order for us to be able to, put the lien on the property, we have to first go through this process.
So did they pay the $100 fine?
I'm not sure about that part. I know Jane takes care of that. I don't believe that's, yeah,
I don't think so.
so, and then if we went back again this year, it'd be a $500 fine. So. And I was there last night at 5:15.
Cleans it up and they won't pay that either,
Yeah.
so.
But
I
at
was-
least we have.
Well, I understand that, but that lien might not be paid for 50 years or something.
Right, I was there last night at 5:15 again, lights are on, they're home and just refused to open the door, so. Try, and the neighbors continue to reach out, and I stopped at the neighbors yesterday and explained the process and what we have to deal with to go through, so they're very understanding as well, so. And then the last one on there is animal regulation. This property owner had 14 animals altogether between the ducks and the geese. So he is down to 3 now, which are the 3 geese and the dog. So, which
Your mini farm.
it was. So anyhow, he complete called it right away the same day, and he was very understanding and just was not aware, so. But anyhow, that's the information on those.
Hey, I've noticed there's always fewer on your list. Is that because Adam is handling so many more of these
Well,
violations?
Yeah, he does some of those, but with this time of the year, we don't have all the weeds and you just don't see as much right now, so it slows down a great deal in the wintertime and.
So that last one is closed now?
It is closed, yeah, I just haven't updated it, but it is closed, yeah.
Right.
Next item, Brock Hof is a Jasper firefighter, and earlier this year, actually March 15th, he asked for a leave of absence, which was granted. We've been in contact, throughout the year, and he has requested to return to the fire department, and that will be effective January 1st of 2025. So we've met a few times, and last time he indicated he's ready to come back, so. So need board approval, I believe, for that.
Make a motion that we allow Brock Wolf to return from his leave of absence effective January 1st, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Second for Nancy. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next item, in our 2025 budget, we put in to purchase some new turnout gear. It's 10 sets, and we've been notified of a price increase, which will take effect February 1st. So if we get permission today to start the process, put the specs together, the legal department will send those out, and then hopefully we could open those up at the first meeting in January, and accept the quotes so that we can be in before the price increase. So every other year we put in for 10 sets, and that'll take care of what we need for the next 2 years again.
Kenny, even with the price increase, do you have enough budgeted for that for next year?
Yes, we put $35,000 in, so it's the bunker pad and the coat is what that. They keep their helmet and their other items that they have to go with it, so.
I'll make a motion,
Going to.
yeah, to allow the fire department to seek quotes for new turnout gear for 2025.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion for Tim and a second for Nancy. Any further discussion?
Kenny, you said that's 10 sets.
10 sets, that's correct.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Something not on the agenda, is our training officer position. We have 2 training officers, and earlier, several months ago, Greg Vunderheit stepped away from that role. We still have 1 training officer. However, we've had some help. Leighton Hoaxang has been helping out with that position a great deal. And the amount of time and effort that's being put into this, and the importance, not only for the firefighters to be well trained, but for the ISO audit and those things. It's just come to the time that he deserves to be credited, compensated for that time as well. So those are paid out at $112.50 every quarter. So it's $450, and it is within the budget. But we just haven't filled that role for we have 11 instructors who've been reaching out, trying to, and no one's taken that, and he's been providing that training for us, so I would ask to move him in that role, as training officer.
Would that start in 2025?
We can start that, whatever.
Did you check?
Yes.
We have the money, so we do have the
Yeah.
money in the budget this year, if you wanted to start it this year, or we do have the money for
Correct.
next year.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah, it's basically $40 a month or less than that, so. But, an example was last month, we had training at the training tower. He was there at 5:15 and he was setting up, getting props out, and getting everything set up and identified so that when the firefighters get there, at 6:30, we're ready to start and not have to, set things up. So it's an important role and the time, effort they put into it, so. But,
I'll make a motion that, late overnight to the board training officer. Like the meeting,
I'll second that motion.
second, Nancy.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
and then
Is that
echoing,
something he wants?
yes, he's been doing that. He's really good at what he does, so.
That's a good question.
You're doing it.
Yeah. And just echoing off of what Assistant Chief Pearson was talking about with the police department. We were at a call Sunday with the police department and a state police officer for a body that was found in a home. And some of the officers were called away to another medical call where they couldn't gain entry into a house. So they are, at that situation right now, it does echo with that, so. But, and we do see that happening from time to time as well, so. But, and then,
How do you handle that debrief with your officers?
yeah, I was just gonna discuss that. We do the same thing with them. We also include the medical team, like the paramedics, they're also included in the debriefings. And also the dispatchers. It's very important because it's traumatic for them as well. To hear the call, but not to be able to visualize that and to go through it. Especially when it's a child and things like that, so. We've always worked with Jody Richardson, and I can't remember Heather's last name, that she oversees that department. I know Phil Schmidt and Mike Stallman have been a big part of that debriefing, went through that training years ago, so. Anyhow, when it's needed, it works very well, so. And after every call like that, we always reach out to the firefighters. We send the note that night, it's like, if anybody's struggling, please reach out, let us know. We always ask if anyone is interested in that, so.
And that's the part that concerns me, is that sometimes they're not gonna man up, as you might say, and
Yep.
say, I need help. That's why I like the mandatory part of it, is that they have to go through
Correct.
something, because you don't know what other even personal issues they're dealing with, and then they have to go to a scene and find someone dead or
Sure.
whatever it might be.
Sure. And we have 9 officers, so those officers will check with the 3 people on their crew. They'll always reach out to them and make phone calls and stuff, just to make sure everybody's okay, so. Normally you can tell, you can kind of get a good feed when on scene, you can see how they're reacting, so. But, yeah,
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah.
Good.
appreciate it, thank you.
Gail, anything this morning? Nothing this morning there. Okay. Jeff? Yes. Morning.
A few items, a couple that I don't have on the agenda, but first, seeking approval to, at last meeting opened up bids for the tractor with a boom mower. So I'm seeking this approval this morning to award that. It's a tractor with a boom mower and a debris blower on the back to Hope Equipment. And the bid was in the amount of $184,500. Less the trade-in for our old one, which was $40,000, for a net bid price of $149,500. This is below the budget. We had 3 requests for bids sent out, and unfortunately, we only received 1. But again, it is under budget, so we feel comfortable with this one.
This is for this year, yeah.
It is, yes. Yeah, we will have to encumber this money. So
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the bid for the tractor with boom mower and debris blower to Hope Equipment for the net bid price of $149,500 for purchase in 2024.
Second. I have a motion from Nancy and a second from Tim, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right, thank you. The next one, again, seeking approval, we opened bids at the last meeting, for the annual tree limb and yard waste grinding contract. We did, ask for, we asked three contractors for quotes. We did receive two. The low came in from Brewer Farms of Huntingburg in the amount, not to exceed, that's what I'm gonna ask for is approval to, in a contract that does not exceed $22,500. The base bid for that was $19,855. We do throw an alternate in there if they want to take the material away from us, and he did go with that alternate as well and provided $18,169.50 for taking possession. And also, as we speak, we obviously have to survey it at some point, and then we start another pile, which is the additional. And so we always ask for a bid on what it would take while you're there to grind the additional up. And the additional was $3.55 a cubic yard for the additional. And so we would like for him to do that while he's here. And so anyhow, it all comes out, like I said, what we think our additional piles look like. We should not exceed $22,500. And that is under budget, so, okay,
And that is for 2020.
that's correct. Another one that will have to income.
Are you using for this year's funds or are you using next year's funds?
No, I'm sorry, that is 2024. Yeah, it is this year's. Yeah, sorry.
When does he do that?
He hasn't given us a date. Usually we wait until we award and then he tells us when he can come in and do it. So, but usually it's during the winter months that he does it. So, but yeah, usually he usually comes in pretty quickly after we award. The other company that had bid sometimes doesn't make it till after the first of the year, but so we'll see what happens. So,
All right, I'll make a motion to award the annual tree limb yard waste contract to Brewer Farms in a not to exceed amount of $22,500.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion from Tim and a second from Nancy. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
all right, the next item
I
is,
did want to comment that your operation you have down there is very orderly and very neat and very well marked, that if you bring something, you know exactly where to take it. So you guys do a great job with that.
well, thank you. I will pass that along to
I
the,
don't know if you can do that, but I was with my husband one day, and we went and dumped some stuff. I was like, wow, this is nice.
Matt Truesdale and Jeremy Foxen both work back there. Matt's the guy usually back there. But yeah, he does take good care of that. He takes pride in making that place look organized. So, yes, thank you for that. Next up, I would like seek permission to start advertising for an open position that we'll have at the end of the year. Mark Zayer, one of our employees, is retiring January 31st, or sorry, December 31st. And so we would like to start the process to hire his replacement. He's in the laborer's position. And we do have some candidates from our last interview process, so we will probably reach out to them to see if they're still interested. We had some good candidates there, and if that's the case, we'll move forward with that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We start the hiring process to replace Mark Zayer. As a result of his retiring December 31st this year.
I'll second.
Second, Tim, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Just a couple other notes. One, we just kind of, we're in the leaf season, obviously, and it's been an interesting year. There's a lot of green leaves still on the trees. Normally the week of Veterans Day, it always seems like that's the one where we get behind, but this year we have not gotten behind. Mainly because in the past we have had 3 leaf machines with a 4th that was a 1970s model. It was very not very ergonomic, and it didn't work very efficiently. We currently have 4 new ones, and this has made this whole process streamlined. And again, some of it has to do with the leaves not falling. We haven't had a temperature below 32 yet. Be careful what I wish for, right? But anyhow, that is definitely coming this week. So again, I think we'll be, but I do say, I said the other day, I think we'll probably have 1 leaf machine running till Christmas this year. So it's been kind of an interesting year. So but again, I just wanted to let you know, thank you for allowing us to have that 4th machine. I know they're not cheap, but they do make us work more efficient. We have not even considered having to put overtime in to get them all picked up. So things are working very good. So thank you for that. We did, last night, we've been in discussions about a broken tree limb that was hanging over Highway 56 and contacted the property owner about how to remedy this problem. Last night, about 8 o'clock, the problem got solved. The good news is that it did not fall on a car. It was over by the pet clinic over on the west side. And it did come crashing down. Luckily, nobody hit it. It did not land on anyone or anyone's car. But I would like to thank Caleb Chambers helped us in one of the county units, which I did not catch his number or his name. But anyhow, they were out there by the time I got there, and he had some little bitty saw thing, and it was cutting, and they were doing a great job of getting that off the highway. By the time I got there, they already had 1 lane open, so traffic was able to go. And then one of our on-call guy did show up with the telehandler. We pushed it off into the woods, the rest of it. So, but anyhow, it went well. But thank you. I'm not sure if Caleb was even on call. I'm not sure if he was, but he looked like he was in his regular clothes. So, but I'm not sure. So anyhow, thank him for that. So anyhow, worked well. All right. And then just an update. I know currently year to date, we are at 86 dogs we've collected so far this year. So just FYI, we've got one right now that's a Labradoodle mix or golden doodle, I guess. And so it's amazing when we get those cute ones, everybody wants it, you know. So yeah. As a matter of fact, a resident that turned him in came this morning to pick him up for a little bit to give him a bath. And so anyhow, okay, I'm not sure I appreciate that, but yeah, I do appreciate that. So he did stink. But anyhow, so just interesting that we're at an all-time high right now with another month to go. So all right.
And Jeff, thanks to you guys for moving the Santa house in Westchester morning. That was a great system they have to
Sure,
do that.
yeah,
And we moved it around a few ways, but got it set where it needed to go.
Do we feel comfortable now with the safety of that location? I know it's better than what it was last year.
And we'll put those stanchions out. I've got a couple of this flower pots.
Then you guys gonna say we use flower pots to protect.
Yeah.
I'll work on that yet tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's another example of the good piece of equipment that we have, the telehandler. It came in handy last night, and it comes in handy for, it's a multi-use tool or piece of equipment, and it works great for lifting that house. Of course, it also goes out to Cremp Lumber Company, who donates their forklift to grab the other side of it. So in cooperation with them, we get it done. So. All right.
We, along with Sarah Smith, who's kind of in charge of that with the downtown merchants, built our
Right.
minds together, and that's where it went.
Right. So, all right, that's all I have this morning. Thank you.
Josh?
Morning, board. First item on the agenda says monthly permits. That's just a carryover from the previous month. I already gave you October at the first meeting of the month, so we'll move on from that. Next item, I'd like to junk assets number 100, 332, 100, 333, 10. I'm guessing it's 100, 334, and 100, 335. Those are chairs. We've been playing musical chairs here the last couple of months at the City Hall. And these are some new ones that we've replaced, some of our public guest chairs. So we're just asking to junk those assets for me.
Josh, where did these come out of?
These came out of my office in Adam and Becky's guest chairs.
Desk chairs.
Guest
Yes.
chairs.
Oh, guest.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to junk the assets, and they should all have 100 in front of them. Because
I believe so, yeah.
100, 332, 100, 333, 100, 334, 100, 335 as junk assets. And when we say junk, do we throw those away or do we put them in the same business at all? What happens with those?
I don't know in the current conditions of these. Yeah, if there is some value to them, they'll go to the auction. If they're not really worth anything, then yeah, they'll get jumped.
Right.
I'll second.
No second, Tim, motion from Nancy. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Last item I have is not on the agenda, but I'd ask for your consideration. As many or most of you know, the current comp plan, which was adopted in 2019, is approximately 80 to 85% complete by many measures. And the council approved the revamp or to start the process of a new comprehensive plan in 2025 in their 2025 budget. So like your consideration to start seeking requests for qualifications and proposals on agencies to update that comprehensive plan in 2025.
At least it really did put that on a revised agenda. So we.
Oh,
have
did
that
she?
on the
Perfect.
agenda.
Excellent.
I'll make a motion to start the process for the request for qualifications for the new City of Jasper Comprehensive Plan.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Nancy and a second from Tim. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anything?
No, thank you.
Kirsten?
I would like to request approval to accept a donation from Servants Inc. They had reached out to the mayor, wanting to give back to the community that has given so much to them. So they brought a check for $15,000 and would like it distributed between the fire department's restricted use donation fund to be used as the fire department sees fit, to the police department restricted donation fund to be used as the police department sees fit, and to the Rojack Heart of Jasper maintenance fund.
Yeah, it's a great gesture on their behalf, to bring this check. Met with us ahead of time to see what areas might need some help. So when she received the check, it was a good day. What a smile on everybody's face. I'll make a motion that we accept that donation from Servants.
Did you say 15,000?
It's 15,000.
So would that be divided?
5,000.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second from Nancy. Any further discussion?
My only question is, normally we take donations to the council. We'll just, we may need to do this.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Kirsten?
Mayor, I have one item. We have Santa Claus coming to town on Friday, this Friday. And so all the departments are involved in that, the fire department, police department, whatever. And the mayor actually is involved also. And then we do have a food truck. It's that hot chocolate food truck. And she would like to be there, which I don't have a problem with. It's just hard to put her on those feathers. So I'm suggesting she park on the west side of City Hall in a couple of these parking spots. It's kind of near the Santa House area. It's not near the other merchants that sell hot chocolate and gives her a place to kind of pull off. So I told her I would try to work out a space for her. And it would be Friday, November 29th. She would be there from approximately 10 until 3. She was there last year, but we had her over in that feather by that real estate office across, and it just won't work out to do those anymore with those managers there.
Yeah, that fits within our plans for food trucks, so. That was in the form of a motion.
Yes,
Okay.
and I can't think of the name of her business, but it's the hot chocolate food truck. Is it Bursting? Yeah, Bursting was one of them. Yeah, thanks.
Also, I'll second that motion to allow her to set up there and Main Street or Main Street. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Bye.
Anything else?
Jeff, could we have a couple cones? I just thought about that. I probably have to cone that off, so.
Sure.
She has stuff.
Um,
No, that's all.
okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn,
I'll second that.
a second from Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
By saying aye.
Hey, Jeff.
And we will start the, sorry you guys, I didn't sit down there.
Okay, check that out. They got it, right? I'm trying to buy one. I'm sitting back to try.